Building, which now houses some North American Rockwell offices, is the granddaddy of Dallas aviation. It's the progenitor of that $700 million creation just a few miles northwest of here, about to be christened the Regional Airport. You've got to find an old-timer to point this place out. It's wedged between Love Field's runways and Bogman Lake, and has been obscured by 2 generations gone by. But back in 1928, this place was something else. The nation was caught up with airplane fever. Charles Lindbergh had just flown the Atlantic, and aerial barnstormers were capturing headlines. Fort Worth had already opened Meacham Field after rejecting an offer by Dallas to build a mutual airport. So Dallas had to do something fast. The city quickly shelled out $434,000 for this dormant Army aviation field called Love Field. Swept by the fantasy that this big Bermuda grass field and a few barnstormers would put Dallas on the map, the newspapers went wild. Dallas became a self-styled international aviation center. By the late 1920s, airmail service kept the airport busy, along with a few scheduled flights to Oklahoma and West Texas. Love Field's second and most enduring terminal opened here in 1940, and this traffic circle became a landmark to air travelers as landlocked Dallas began to pursue its dream of becoming accessible by a sea of air. After World War II, 4-engine aircraft meant that the runways would have to be lengthened, and the federal government made it clear that it wouldn't spend money to lengthen runways at both Meacham and Love Fields. Fort Worth and Dallas flirted briefly over whether to build a regional airport, but the whole thing blew up when the proposed terminal was slated to be several hundred yards closer to Fort Worth than Dallas. The race was on, a race that would produce a multi-million-dollar white elephant called Greater Southwest International Airport. Fort Worth constructed the airport, and for a while it drew a fair number of flights, but it wasn't long until the airlines refused to land both here and at Love Field, so they switched to Love Field. Meanwhile, over in Dallas, the city was busy constructing the present Love Field, almost entirely from local funds, unlike Fort Worth's rival airport. That was a source of great pride for a city caught up with the notion that federal funds were a compromise of the city's chastity. When the new Love Field opened in 1958, the city reveled again in the idea that it was a big-time air center, and this time it was true. Love Field was supposed to serve the city's air needs until 1980, but barely 7 years after it had opened, Dallas leaders realized it just wouldn't work. Some of the old anti-Fort Worth, anti-federal money firebrands had died, and Dallas leaders realized they'd have to build yet another international air center, but this one for real. It had to have room to grow, and it had to last. So that brings us here to the regional airport. This place is about 4 times as large as New York's Kennedy Airport, and 3 times the size of America's busiest, O'Hare, in Chicago. 45 years after the city opened Love Field, Dallas may have finally done it right. No more cramped departure gates, no more worry about jet noise, and no more worry about a plane landing in somebody's backyard. Finally, no more jets roaring over the Oak Lawn or Walnut Hill areas. Disrupting TV, telephone conversations, or shaking the family china. Love Field will be used as a general aviation airport. That means private aircraft, such as corporate jets, will fly in and out of here, which is important to the Chamber of Commerce. The more corporate headquarters here, the merrier, and it's nice to have an airport just a hop, skip, and a jump from downtown or Stemmons Industrial District. So now with the regional airport opening, we're about to see gala ceremonies like this city has never seen, and everything is in place except for one character, Southwest Airlines. All of the other airlines signed agreements to move their operations to the new airport, but Southwest didn't. So Southwest plans to continue flying between here, Houston, and San Antonio from Love Field. The cities took the issue to federal court and lost. Judge Mac Tater ruled that the Texas Aeronautics Commission, which regulates intrastate carriers like Southwest, can determine whether Southwest lands here or at the new regional airport. And for right now, it's here. Competitors Braniff and Texas International don't like that at all, but there's nothing they can do about it. Because they cross state lines, the federal government regulates them, and they've been assigned to the regional airport. Dallas and Fort Worth are appealing that decision now. Everything at the regional airport is just about ready. Dallas and Fort Worth businessmen couldn't have their Trinity Canal, but now they have an airport just about anybody would concede is the world's finest. Quite a port of call for Dallas and Fort Worth's Big Blue Sea.